Good evening. Welcome to the Issues Room. This is Volcano Shelton here with you this evening. I'm expected to be joined momentarily by my colleague Alfonso Yuno. I'd just like to welcome you wherever you are to our broadcast here. We come your way every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good evening, everyone, wherever you are. I know time zone may change, but I'm not in a position to go all over the place. I just want to say welcome, whether you're in Liberia tonight, whether you're in anywhere in Africa, in Asia, in Australia, Oceania, okay, Europe, wherever you are going to pick up signal tonight. I say welcome and thank you for joining us here. Let me just quickly make sure that our broadcast is trending because lately we've been having audio connectivity issues. I don't know what's happening with the audio. We always have this issue, but I'm hoping that. So yes, everything seems to be going well. In the meantime, so say thank you, thank you, thank you. Please join us here tonight. We're gonna have a good conversation. The topic here tonight, as you can see, what did ANC political leader Alexander Cummings talked about with regards to the $19 million drug bust in Liberia. Also, we want to know what's this impending July 17 drug march gonna be. Accordingly, they're gearing up for July 17, and so we want to talk about that tonight. And we also want to pay tribute to one of our colleagues here from the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, ALJA. We lost our Delaware Valley chapter president, Miss Euphemia Decanty Brown. She passed away yesterday, and it is my hope that many of you audience out there tonight will call in. We'll post the number so you can call in just to join us, and let's talk a little bit at the end of this broadcast about our colleague, Miss Euphemia Decanty Brown, who died so young after a protracted period of illness. But may her soul rest in peace, and we'll be looking at, that part by paying tribute. I'm hoping that Alfonso can join me here. I know that he's trying to get connected on his end, but I don't know what's happening there. Everything seems to be going well, and here he goes. He changes location. He decides to go. I think you should just go ahead and try to download Google Chrome. Hopefully that may solve the problem instead of trying to use Edge, because sometimes Edge may not correspond with certain software. So if you're trying to do that, try to do Google Chrome. But again, welcome to every one of you. I hope that you'll be a part of this conversation tonight. So again, we're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Thursday, I come with the Volcano Shelton Show, which is the sister podcast here every Thursday. So the Issues Room every Tuesday. Why? Alexander Cummings, the political leader of the Liberia's Alternative National Congress, the ANC, has made several key statements after the June 2026 seizure of cocaine at Rabas International Airport. He called for an international investigation into the approximately $19.2 million cocaine seizure, arguing that the Liberian government had lost public confidence in its ability to investigate a case fairly and independently. That is one key component of what he said. Mr. Cummings said that the Liberian government has lost public confidence in the way they are investigating the case. Why? We know that this case is going into a month now, but verifying between one or two people are considered to be suspects. Then there's arrest, and then there's people who have absconded, if I would put it that way. meaning who have run away, who have left the country surreptitiously. Um, and so the case is just all over the place. And Mr. Cummings is saying that the way the case is being handled by the government, it is creating a public uh, sentiments around it where there's no confidence in how the government, and when we say the government, we're talking about the institutions within the government that are responsible for the um, handling of the investigation. That is a combination of the National Police Force, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, the Ministry of Justice, the National Security, apparatus, all of the different institutions involved with handling security matters. Even the Roberts International Airport itself, they have security personnel there, are all part of this investigation. And as it is, the investigation seems, in the Liberian uh, parlance, no head, no tail. So Mr. Cummings says that the government's handling of the investigation is seen to come across as being secretive, too slow, and seemingly compromised, despite earlier promises of a swift and transparent inquiry. He said the way they're handling this case, so slow, a little too secretive, and it seems compromised because there could be, as speculated, big hands in the matter. And if there are big hands in the matter, the government is trying, in a way, to gloss over the names of those big hands, but use other people as scapegoat to say these are the actual cartel or people involved with the cartel, and these are the people we are arresting. Now, it is possible. I had a show a while back and I said it is possible. People want quick money. A lot of guys you see dress up in, good suits, and they're all scammers. If you know people who do black money, they dress appropriate, that you would believe they have more money, but they're looking for more money, right? So people who handling drug issue, people who are involved with drugs, they themselves come across as, reputable. They dress well, they dress decent, and you don't even know what they're involved with. So it doesn't have to go to the extent that it is the government involved or higher ups in the government. All they need to do, Liberia is porous, as we talked about, is borders and all of the connecting points. All they need to do is identify the key players at those low man level and utilize that medium. So it's not always that a matter of this magnitude can be construed as the government is solely involved and their big hands. I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that until this investigation come to what the Liberian men say the logical conclusion, then all of these statements are conjecture and they're speculated. And this is what Mr. Cummings is saying, that the public now is seeing it as being secretive, too slow, and seemingly compromised. So, Alfonso has just joined me. Let me roll over to him and see if he's looking good. You looking good?
I'm good. I'm good. Just let me know if I'm looking good. I'm
You're
sorry.
looking good.
Okay.
You're looking good. All right. So, I was in lean and I was talking about Cummings' message. So, one other area I want to put out, then you can come in. Cummings question how such a large shipment of cocaine would have entered and moved through Liberia without the knowledge or involvement of influential people, suggesting the case point to a broader trafficking network. His argument is that consignment, there is no way no big hand is involved. He's also said that the slowness, the secrecy, and the way the investigation is being handled is being compromised as perceived by the public. So let's just set that stage from those 2 points I made, and then we'll continue on to other things he talked about. Come.
Thank you, Volcano. Thanks, listeners. Sorry, I had some technical issues, but I'm glad I'm here. Yeah, Volcano, you make very important points. As I was listening in the back, I just start from the last point, Mr. Cummings' last point, where he suggested that the pace of the investigation is slow, is secretive, and therefore some big government officials must be involved. I I am not aware, and I haven't seen a drug or criminal investigation that is held in public, where every time the national security forces discover something or are going after somebody, then they hold a press conference or they send press releases or letters to political leaders or every citizen in the country and say, hey, we're going after Volcano today. Today we're going to the border. Tomorrow we'll go into the U.S. embassy to have discussions with them. I haven't seen any investigation like that. So I think what is important here is that Liberians and particularly political leaders need to stop politicizing this drug thing. This drug thing affects the entire country and affects everybody. It affects our youth. It affects our relationships with people in the international community. And it's important for us to work together to address it and not politicize it and make it, because when we politicize it, particularly partisan politics, just to score political points, then we are not addressing the issue. Um, I came across a video today where the charge of the U.S. Embassy was pressing LDA and security officials for seizing it, and he was saying that the U.S. government has been supporting LDA and is working with the security agencies in this investigation. So when people send people to the U.S. embassy, when people come and say, call international people to come and do the investigation for us because we don't trust people because the pace is slow, then it begs the question. It questions their motives and their desires in this process. And all that it says is that they're trying to take advantage of this tragic, unfortunate situation to score cheap political points, which is wrong. One, Mr. Cummings wants to argue that the fact that there's a $19 million plus war for drug scaling in the country, that means government officials must be involved. That's illogical. The United States of America is one of the most sophisticated countries in the world. Drugs enter the United States every day. There's a drug bust in this country every day. Does it mean that is the federal government officials or state government officials that are bringing it in? And I think Cummings knows better. He's lived in this country, he's lived in many places where that happens. So let's stop taking advantage of our poor people. Let's stop deceiving them just to score cheap political points because that doesn't help the country.
Quickly, for those of you who've seen our broadcast for the first time in DC 101 FM, is our affiliate. We connected with them in Monrovia, and we're now streaming through DC. And I'd like to thank my, the proprietor of the platform for giving us the opportunity to do this. This is the place you want to be. The Issues Room and the Volcano Shelton Show. We come with balanced information. We're professionals from the old school of broadcasting, from the old school of the media. So this is the place you want to really come and listen to, good educational information that will guide you on the everyday horizon of the uh, ongoing and evolving issues coming out of our country. Not to say that the other platforms are not doing well, but as you join us here, you will see the difference and you will understand it. And let me quickly say also that when we come here to discuss the issues, we are not aligned to any political affiliation, no political party. We just talk for our country because Liberia means more, not just to us, but to you out there who want your country to do better in the community of nations. So again, just wanted to say thank you to DC 101 FM. Is a platform that was developed by a young aspiring media practitioner who wants to do well, and he told to dedicate it to the old DC 101. He told me when his mom uh, was pregnant with him, it was one of her favorite stations in the country, and when he was born, she kept talking about it, and so he decided to do something as a platform in dedication to her. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to network and grow your platform, and at the same time disseminate our platform out there to the many viewers and followers across the globe. So, Alfonso, the other thing here that Cummings talked about is that you know, um, he described the drug trafficking as a direct threat to Liberia's national security, warning that it could undermine state institutions, damage the country's international reputation, discourage investment, and harm future generations. Now, you just talked about the American Charge Affairs, giving the government thumbs up. So where is that international reputation being spoiled when the government is not sitting supinely, but instead investigating now? The investigation may be perceived as slow. The investigation may be perceived as secretive. The investigation may be perceived as we covering big hands, but you said the international community is no fool. If the Charge Affairs at the U.S. Embassy can give the government a thumb up for what they're doing so far, then it means that they know more than Mr. Cummings. What do you say?
Yes, they do know more than Mr. Comics. In fact, they share intelligence with the Liberian security forces, and it is my understanding that that is one of the ways that they've been intercepting drugs that have been coming into the country. I think what is likely to tarnish the reputation of the country is not necessarily that security forces are not telling the public every move they make because they're not supposed to do so. This is a criminal investigation. We live in the United States of America. When an investigation is going on of a politician or a big shot drug dealer, it continues for a very, very long time until all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before an arrest is made before they come public. So nobody does a criminal investigation in the open with the so-called transparency that they are asking about. So when politicians like Mr. Cummings talks about going to contact his international partners to come and investigate the drug situation, it undermines the sovereignty of the country. It undermines it is those type of and when President Weah, former President Weah, talks about Liberia is a drug, whatever phrase he used,
No, narcotic state.
narco state, those are the type of things that undermine, have the potential undermining investment and tarnishing the reputation of the country. It's not that the security forces are not telling us every day who they're speaking to, who they are following, who they are monitoring.
So quickly, you think that Cummings should have said, look, government, maybe there's logistic matters here. Let me add some money to to the process. I'll donate, $100,000. Let's
Yeah,
get some forensic equipment here. Let's get some, aid here to help. But to say you want to do something independent, how
yeah.
possible is that?
And I think if he wants to give money, fine. But I think what Mr. Cummings should be advocating, what I will be advocating, is to strengthen our institutions, as you correctly said, to strengthen our institutions so they are able to do those things, so they are able to gather intelligence, so they are able to put more people at the border, so they are able to do more testing of these things. Clearly, the drugs enter the country. Cocaine is not necessarily produced in Liberia. We also do know, in fact, in its U.S. Embassy Charge Affairs statement today, they talk about how this particular drug and other drugs might have come from Brazil and come through, different borders to enter Liberia. So these people are aware and they're helping the LDA and the security agencies to do the investigation. So when people say we're going to international community or international community will come and investigate, well, the U.S. embassy and the U.S. government are involved. They're giving expertise, information, and technical support to the investigation. We also heard that the director of police went to London to speak to security forces there because this particular drug that they seized resemble a package with the same type of labeling that left Liberia and went to London. Mind you, it got in London. We didn't hear anything about drugs coming from Liberia and being seized in London. So even the British security forces might have missed it. However, the Liberian
Yeah,
security
because it
forces
was they said it was
intercepted
packaged as chicken soup.
as chicken soup. And this was
I
also
don't know when they opened chicken soup factory.
yeah, and this was also packaged as chicken soup and lapas. But our security forces were able to seize it. We shouldn't be trying to tarnish our country. We should be praising our security forces for being able to intercept $19 million worth of drugs, cocaine, at our airport with similar packaging that was not that the British security forces were not able to intercept and to seize. Now, I also do know, or at least I've heard, that they are looking for means of testing to see the origin of these drugs so as to go to the origin and try to track the origin down to break down that transnational trade so it doesn't come to Liberia. It's easy in my view to grab the couriers and the mules, meaning the taxi driver or truck driver who was hired to take the drugs to the airport. It's easier to grab the people who receive the shipment in Liberia because they are all in Liberia. It's easier to grab the security people who might have been at the airport, who might have been bribed or who didn't do their work well. But it's not sufficient to do that because if you don't do that, the transnational traffickers can continue to send drugs into the country. So it has to be all of the above and all of the above approach. What do I mean by that? It means that we have to arrest those people in Liberia, but we also have to go to the source of where the drugs are coming from, the route that is taken, who's managing it, which airlines are bringing it, which country is last package before it hit Liberia, and the people involved in the process. And that requires delicate, painstaking, intelligence investigations. It's not something that I think people should be discussing in the public. Today, we go into Guinea-Bissau to go interview people and find out. No, that's if that is the type of transparency they're talking about, I think it's the type of transparency that will undermine the investigation and will continue this drug flow. So I think they need to watch their comments or else they'll undermine this entire fight against drugs, at least in this case, and they'll be doing the country a
So,
disservice.
Alfonso, you think we're going to go anywhere? But in the meantime, before you come in, Moses Sandy just called. He said he wanted to make a contribution. Let me just, bring him on. Moses, are you there?
Do you hear Moses? I don't hear him.
I'm hearing him.
Oh,
You're not.
oh,
You,
I'm not, but that's fine once we hear him.
all right. So, Alfonso, Moses is saying that you said that Cummins is intend to bring international investigators to participate in the ongoing drug bust investigation. Provides an optic of compromising the sovereignty of Liberia, but also the same Liberian government has sought support from the international community, particularly the Americans, to help with the investigation. Wouldn't you consider that a contradiction in terms of the statement of compromising the sovereignty of the country?
So not at all, and I'll answer in twofold. One, Mr. Cummings said he needs independent international investigation. That's not the same as we need international people to come and help our people to investigate. Secondly, what I said was the government is already engaged in collaborative investigation with international partners, such as the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. government, as was indicated by the Charge d'Affaires, and also by the British authorities, as was indicated by the police director's visit to Britain to find out who received that first package, whether it was checked, what was determined as a way of breaking this transnational criminal drug network. So being in Liberia and saying a sovereign country and then saying bring independent international investigators because we don't trust these people, that's compromising the sovereignty of a country. So those are two different statements. But I would also like to hear Mr. Sandy's own view and point. Now that he's questioned mine, let him establish his so that we all can hear it as well.
Go ahead, Moses. Yeah, but Moses, he did say his Alfonso's argument is that independent is not collaborative. Cummings does not have the authority to bring in independent investigators rather in the country outside of support from the government. In fact, where would they be given a passage into the country to start any investigation if it was not collaborative? But if that's what he said, then why would it be unwise, Moses? Let's balance this equation now.
And this is I will read exactly what Cummings said. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Alfonso wants to read exactly what Cummings said.
Is he
Go ahead,
listening?
Alfonso.
Alexander Cummings has called for an independent international investigation into the $19 million drug case in Liberia. According to Cummings, transparency is essential in addressing the country's drug crisis, which is described as national emergency. The government has launched.
So that's okay.
Cummings
That's okay.
calls,
That's okay,
Cummings
Alfonso.
calls for an independent
Alfonso.
investigation. Yeah.
Yeah, independent. You're already clearing. Go
Okay.
ahead, Moses. Let's do this quick so we can wrap this up. Yeah, but Moses, anytime you use the word independent, it means that you have no dealing with the other party. That's what independent is about. Let's be honest here. Yeah. No. Then it's not. Then it's not independent. You can say let's bring some professionals to add to the investigation so that we can expedite the process rather than say independent, because independent is independent. Why you think you
Independent,
had I'm coming, why you
yeah,
think you had the independent National Patriotic Front of
yeah.
Liberia?
And
When you had the
independent of
National
what?
Patriotic Front of Liberia, you went independent because you wanted to stand on your own and have no collaboration with the NPFL. That's what independent is about, Mo.
And Moses should please answer independent of what? Independence from what? From whom?
Okay, so Moses, let's just wrap this up. So the argument is that, what's your argument? Let's wrap it up. All right. Okay, until the police collaborate, thank you. Until the police collaborate, until the police giving those independent people that companies calling for and paying for to come, until the police decide to give the information that they've already gathered throughout this time, then let the people start from square one, from the day that the drug was busted at the Freeport, the RIA rather, let them start from there to now. Because I don't know how independent that can be if the case is already this far. You will still need to collaborate. You will still need to get together. You still need the support. So again, Alfonso,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It's very unfortunate that Liberians don't like their own country. That we think that we must always look to other people, to America, to Europe, to this to come and solve our problems simply because we don't trust ourselves, simply because we don't believe in ourselves. And that's very, very unfortunate. And Mr. Cummings, who's running for president, to be president of Liberia, should not be calling on other countries to bring their independent people, independent of what? Of whom? Obviously, independent of the government, because his argument is that he doesn't trust the government investigation. So they must have an independent international investigation. I think that undermines the credibility of this particular case and the sovereignty of our country. They're going around, there must be big hands, or they're hiding government officials. What this might lead to, Volcano and listeners, is that when this case goes to court, the jury pool that's been poisoned today because of selfish political aims will be the people that will sit in judgment of whoever is going to court. We are already poisoning their minds by saying that, oh man, these people they're catching are nobody, they're not involved. It's just they're hiding people. They're hiding the top people, they're having black eye. They're hiding black eyed children and the vice president. The jury, the prospective jury pool is hearing all of this. And when they go into trial of these suspects, that's what they will come out with. And then Liberia loses another case.
So let's go to the other part of Cummings'
Yeah, yeah.
statement here. He highlighted that the country's wider drug problem, noting reports from Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency of hundreds of drug use hotspots around Monrovia, and saying that addiction is devastating young people and communities. He urged regional organizations such as ECOWAS and the Mano River Union to help and ensure that everyone involved in trafficking network is identified and prosecuted. The Liberian government has maintained its investigation into the cocaine seizure is ongoing, while opposition figures and civil society groups have continued to call for greater transparency and accountability. What more should the government do
I
The last part of Cummings' statement is it makes sense. There are too many hot spots, so it's a serious appetite for addiction. At the same time, his plea to ECOWAS and Mono River to help since it's transnational as perceived, that would make some sense, right? And the government is saying that no matter what you say, we're doing what we are doing, and just give us, the opportunity and the freedom to do our work.
absolutely. So Mr. Cummings is right. This is a transnational drug trade. What is happening from research and everything that's being said here is that because the United States government, because Europe has clamped down on their borders on drug trafficking into those countries, drug traffickers are now looking for other means. So they look for countries with weaker border controls. They look for countries with weak security, weak intelligence, and weak technology to track drugs, and they use those countries. And West Africa is one of those places. And some of the countries that are listed are Guinea Bissau, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, etc. Guinea Bissau, as a matter of fact, is right along the border with Colombia. So Colombian drug cartels have been using Guinea Bissau for their shipment to West Africa, and then somehow these drugs find their way to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, to Guinea, and then get transported to the United States, Europe, and other places. And the reason is that U.S. and European security institutions do not have an eye on West Africa because West Africa is really not a huge drug trafficking producing place. So these people are using West Africa as the transit point to send their drugs to Europe and stuff. Why am I saying all of this? So Cummings is right. There has to be a collaboration in the West African sub-region, and the government is currently doing that. The government is saying we are working with our sub-regional partners. We're working with the U.S. government. We're working with the British government because we don't just want to arrest the people who we caught the drugs with. We want to go to the bottom of it and find out where these drugs are coming from and work with our partners to put a stop to it. That's what's happening. But so it's not, I think, is the government doing everything right? I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, I think when people of Cummins caliber or any politician, high ranking politician for that matter, are making statements, they need to be careful so as not to undermine this fight against drugs. It doesn't affect just the government, it affects everybody. It affects our young people. He's right. We got a lot of drug hotspots in the country. And so we need to focus and deal with those and not make outlandish, unsubstantiated claims about the vice president wanna brought the drugs into the country. If you have evidence that the vice president brought it, by all means, please put it out there. If you have evidence that the president brought it, by all means, or you know any other big shots that are involved, please put the information out there. That's what the Liberian people need. That's what the security forces need. That's what the international community needs. We need to work together to resolve this problem, but to just accuse people, particularly you an educated person of international reputation, and just throw these things out there without any iota of evidence and truth is wrong and can undermine the
Let me
process.
just say this, Alfonso. I
Yeah,
think Cummings now is dancing with the devil. He's
yep, yep.
dancing with the angels. He's already in a collaboration. So now he's thinking like the local Liberian politicians. He's compromising his international stature. He's compromising his international intelligence now. He's looking at things from, a subjective, conjecture perspective, a personalized perspective, rather than look at it from, the more objective perspective. Um, so that's what happens. Cummings being in Liberia too long now. He's Liberianized. He's no longer the
The
American guy
international
Cummings.
hurricane
So
coming.
so he's thinking like, like the locals. But anyway, welcome to the Issues Room. Alfonso, and I, Volcano Shelton, here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we're just talking about three key issues here. We talking about the comments and statements of Alexander Cummings, who is the political leader of the Alternative National Congress, the ANC, a political party that emerged out of the CDC, accordingly, from political pundits. Um, we're also going to be looking at next now. The next topic is the issue regarding the impending July 17 protest or march, put it that way. Because we say we start with march and then it turns into a protest and then it turns into looting and then it turns into chaos. But we keep the name, the march, the July 17 march against drug. Accordingly, from the latest information received, Liberia, this march in Liberia is being organized by civil society group, particularly the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand, together with a coalition of partner organizations. The organizers describe it as a peaceful mass protest centered on concerns around governance, accountability, and the country's worsening drug problems. Some of the main issues that they're going to be highlighting during this protest: demands for an independent investigation into the recent high profile cocaine seizure and allegation of drug trafficking, calls for stronger actions against corruption and a greater government accountability, concern over the economy, including unemployment and the rising cost of living, broader governance reforms, and transparency in public institutions. Let's talk about those four key factors. We know that the issue is on the horizon. It's going to take place. Before we go into conversation, let me show you a small clip that I was able to find regarding the preparation.
So this stand protest truck is it been parked here for no reason by officer of the Liberian National Police. This is the truck right opposite the GR gas station. Right even GR gas station, this is it. Yeah. This is the truck. This is the truck. Again, you can see that. This is the truck.
Oh, come on. Come on, man.
So, this is it. Yeah. This is the truck. This is the truck. Again, you can see that. This is the truck. You see the inscription here. I don't know for why we according to them they say no. Yes. The truck parked here and nobody, not the only person to come back to the scene location. The office of the Liberian National Police said you have to take the truck to zone 3. For what reason? No better explanation. No better explanation. You can see the truck for yourself. This is it. This is the truck. The intimidation is too much in Liberia. The intimidation is too much from this government. The intimidation is too much. See, this is it. What?
So, the intimidation is too much from this government. He's doing his work. But anyway, yeah. So let's talk about the issues. Yeah. So that means I just wanted to show that Stand is gearing up for the protest march, however you want to call it. And the first thing is demanding independent investigation. I don't know if we even want to talk about that because we already covered it. But let's talk about stronger action against corruption and a greater accountability. Action against corruption. From all that you've heard over the
Mm.
last almost 3 years since this government being in power, do you think this government is doing nothing about corruption and is not being accountable?
I, I wish that this government was prosecuting more and more people for corruption.
But let's stop there. The
Yeah,
government tries to prosecute the same people staying in the street and fight for the people.
absolutely.
What are we going to do about this, man?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the point. The same Mobile Molu and the stand people and stuff were the one jubilating and celebrating and going to court every day, by the way, defending the former finance minister and other people who were on trial for corruption. So are they really opposed to corruption? The same Mobile Molu and others were supporting all of the people who were on the US sanctions for corruption. Are they really opposed to corruption? The same Mobile Molu and other people. I haven't seen Mama Molu and others get in the street and campaign. When what's her name? This other lady who was just arrested the other day and taken to court. I haven't seen any statement from them. So are they actually really opposed to corruption in the country? Clearly, I think the entire country and everybody knows that Mobile Molu's stand is an extension of the CDC out of government. Clearly, we all know that. Maba Malu was chairman of the CDC. CDC left power. He formed a nonprofit, quote unquote nonprofit that is getting putting people in the street and protesting every day. So I think everybody knows what their motives are, is to create an impression out there that somehow there's nothing going on in the country and everything is horrible and stuff. Is the government doing everything right? No. I said started my comment with, I think government needs to prosecute more and more people. In the previous government and also in this government, I think the speed at which the government is prosecuting is slow. Of course, I don't put the entire blame on the government because unfortunately the judicial system and the courts process are very slow. We have the situation of the arson at the Capitol building. The case is still dragging because the legal process provides for delays and delays and delays, and there are many other cases, and that is the reason why some of these cases haven't been finalized. So I do understand that. But at the same time, I believe that more and more people, particularly from previous governments, who we clearly have evidence about, take for instance the U.S. sanctions, named Miguel, and named William Twiway, and named other people with facts and evidence of them forming a company that was siphoning millions of dollars from NPA in Buchanan and even in Monrovia. I think the Justice Ministry can go and ask their counterparts in the U.S. In Justice Department, other people, and say, provide us the evidence that you have so we can go after these people. I think the government needs to put its head down, regardless of what the criticism out there is, because there will be criticism. I tell people, Jesus Christ came on earth, he was God. Not only did we criticize him, we kill him. So just do the right thing. Don't worry about criticism or whatever, because there will be people who are doing those bad things who will criticize you. There will be people who want to be where you are who will criticize you. A lot of
So
those people.
let's come here to this issue, and this issue concerns me a lot because when they're talking about the economy, unemployment, and the rising cost of living, is Mobile Molu from Mars? Is he from Jupiter? Doesn't he understand the global impact? Doesn't he see that there's war in the Ukraine, there's war in the Middle East?
Yep.
Why it may be uh, weapon weaponry wars, but there are also wars of instability. When earthquake took place the other day in Venezuela, That in itself creates cost of living increase. In the very America here, every day the prices of things go skyrocketing. How much more about a country like Liberia that cannot even produce baby dapper before I'll say it own chicken soup,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So why do you try to create a situation as if to say um, you can just whitewash the economy and fix everything? We have gasoline price way up here in America, and America has more reserve than anywhere else, but yet we have gasoline prices hiked. Milk, eggs, all of those essentials are high in price. Then you come now and say cost of living and unemployment. The country is structured where only the government is the major employer. Then how can the government does what it should do for citizens, for communities, for institutions when it continues to hire? And hire who? Many of these people that are coming in your protest cannot even write a 15 sentence, can barely speak English. You yourself, who headed a political party that was leading a country, you can barely manage your political party. They had to kick you to the curb. So what the argument about here to talk about corruption and to talk about the economy and to talk about unemployment as if to say you flew from Mars and came down and saw the condition. What argument are you going to put out there? What convincing argument about cost of living as if to say that it is not a global phenomenon? Alfonso.
Yeah. And Volcano, you're right. The world has now become a global village. So whatever happens in one part of the world affects the other part of the world, particularly as it has to do with oil and the war in the Middle East. Oil impacts everything. The planes that fly, the ships, some of them, the vehicles and trucks that take the goods and services around, all of those use fuel, and they are impacted by the oil crisis. And that is why around the world, in Great Britain, in the United States of America, in China, in what country? In the Philippines, for instance, they had they told people stay home, work from home. Schools run virtual schools as much as possible because of the oil crisis. Prices have gone up and everything is being impacted. But then again, you don't expect. I don't. Two things. First of all, I don't expect the mobile models to understand these international dynamics. Secondly, I don't think they even care. I think what they're doing is simply to score cheap political points. Is there unemployment? Is there hardship in the country? Definitely. Is there high employment? Definitely. But the way to address high unemployment is not for government to get up, which they did, and say, we're going to take 7,000 people or 700 people, excuse me, and put them on executive mansion payroll. They don't even have to come to work. That's not how you solve the unemployment problem. The
Or
way,
how about the payroll balancing they were doing?
exactly.
Expanding government and putting the money in their pockets. The very seditions were crying in the streets, no jobs.
Yeah.
So what changed now? What's different here? This government and any government that want to do well for Liberia cannot continue to be the major employer in the country.
Mm.
There has to be other avenues. So what Moluba Molu should be doing is creating jobs.
Well, so
Yeah,
as
he
I,
should be creating jobs. Since he knows that the economy is so hard and the cost of living, why doesn't he go and protest against the Indians and Lebanese, or go to the free port and protest with the high cost of freeing your container so that prices can come down? Why can't he address those institutions rather than globalize it at the national level? There are many other ways you can protest, but to assume that the country cost of living is so high, it's everywhere. Nothing new here.
and one of the ways you address unemployment is to do some of the things that the government is doing. but to also encourage international investment and also local investment, as you said. Small business drives the economy around the world. Small business is the engine of all economies: the US economy, the British economy, the French economy, economies across Africa. We need to start creating incentives and programs in Liberia that encourage small business creation. So, and I think the government is trying by going in a direction of maybe getting these yellow machines and building roads and putting electricity in these places, because that will encourage people, give them the means to start their small businesses and all of that. But I think they could do more. They could do more by giving people incentives. Maybe say, hey, Volcano and Afonso and Aaron and Flomo, if any one of you goes to decide to take your business to Lofa County and put it in feasible, who will give you tax break and incentive to encourage people to go to those places and open businesses. Or if you open this type of business, if you open a business in this area, for instance, the president placed a ban on rubber export. So maybe the say, Volcano, if you can bring a machine in this country that can make rubber slippers here, we give you a tax break for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. So those type of initiatives, or we give you loan, if you want to go into this type of business. So we have value added. So we're not just tapping rubber and sending it. We have businesses that can process the rubber into materials, and then we have the rubber, finished product to use for shoes and for slippers and for plastic and all of that. So the government can also decide to go into those areas as a way of boosting. But I think, to answer your question directly, I think what is doing with the road construction, with electricity and all of that, well, it's in the right direction in terms of giving people the incentives to start businesses.
All right, so quickly as we close on the last point, broader governance reform and transparency in public institutions. The CDC government led the country for 6 years. Were their institutions transparent? I mean, think about it, and don't spend no time because we got to
Yeah,
do the last piece because it's 8 o'clock already.
yeah, yeah. I don't think the institutions were transparent. I don't think they intended to be transparent. We First of all, the CDC government decided that it will let all of the people from the previous government who were alleged or known to have committed acts, to let all of them go, because according to President we don't want yo-yo in this country. So it's unfortunate
And
that
it sounded like they came with their own intent. So let us not
yeah,
pull rope so rope can pull bush.
exactly. So we don't want yo-yo. We don't want accountability. Unfortunately, it's the same people who are saying today, "Oh, go after people. You might prosecute." But yesterday it was yo-yo. Today is not yo-yo. But I still think that this government shouldn't pay attention to them. I think they should go ahead and prosecute. They need to do more in terms of prosecution. I think one direction that we're going as well, which is really good, is the movement to passing law that establishes anti-corruption courts in the country, specialized anti-corruption courts. Part of the reason why corruption cases are staying long in the judicial system is that we have very few criminal courts that hear all the cases. So they hear theft cases, they hear rape cases, they hear murder cases. So when you have those murder and rape cases, for instance, on the docket, and you grab somebody who stole money, you're not going to say let that rape suspect remain in jail for 6 months, 5 months, 8 months while we prosecute this politician. As a result, the politician's case, corruption case, takes a back burner. So we've had specialized corruption courts. It will help to speed up corruption. It will help to fight against corruption. And I think it's a right move. It's a move in the right direction.
All right, thank you. So the Liberian government has publicly acknowledged the planned demonstration and stated that it recognizes the constitutional right to peacefully assemble. Officials have have invited protest organizers to coordinate with security agencies to establish security arrangements intended to keep the event peaceful and protect participants and the public. As of the latest reports concerning this march on July 17, organizers have continued to encourage participants to remain nonviolent, while the government has indicated that security forces will facilitate the demonstration rather than prevent it, provided provided it remains peaceful. That's the condition.
Yep.
It must remain peaceful for us to ensure that all of those protesters, the public, are all covered. Now, as we move to the end of this broadcast, we wanted to pay tribute to our fallen sister, the late Euphemia Deconti Brown, who served as the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, ALJA, uh, Delaware Valley Chapter President. She was not too well for a period, and she passed yesterday, um, and it's a sad time for us, Alfonso. We both knew Euphemia over the years. We all resuscitated Aja, um, and she played a major role. I will hope that some of our colleagues out there tonight who's watching, Akai, Moses Sandy, Suadede, the Reverend, Jackson Seaton, Sam Abu, they all can call in now and just say a word or two. Um, we will, look forward to that. But let me turn over to you. This is a sad time for our community here in Pennsylvania, um, for Aja, but also for Liberia.
Yes, yes, Volcano. It's a very sad time indeed. And I want to add also that in addition to losing Eu- Euphemia, who's a very good, actually, as president of the Aja Delaware Valley, I mean, Secretary General to the President, the late President Euphemia Brown's administration in the Aja Delaware chapter. So and we've known her for years, as you said. So it's a very painful situation. You yourself were what was your title? Treasurer of the association. So we work closely together with her, and besides being members of the association, so it's very painful. I will also say that we did lose another member, even though not of the Delva chapter, but Miss Patricia Livingstone, who also passed, and then we have the daughter of Akena Wesley, a member who passed as well. So to echo the point you made, definitely this is a very sad time for Aja, for the Aja family, and for us in Pennsylvania who lost, and the Delaware Valley chapter who lost our president. I don't know if we have sufficient time. I think Reverend Dede wrote a very brilliant um, piece here, a eulogy, that if we have time, I could read real quickly for about a minute or two. So the title is The Pains We Bear. By the way, Reverend Dede and myself were at Euphemia's mother's house today, and Moses Sandy came then as well. But he wrote, "The pains we bear. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Matthew 5:4. This is one of the Beatitudes from Christ Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. It promises that those who grieve, whether over the loss of a loved one or over their own spiritual brokenness, will receive divine healing and solace. While the world often shies away from sadness, Matthew 5:4 truly offers a profound message of hope, peace, comfort, and strength in a difficult time like this sudden passing of a comrade of the Inky fraternity, Miss Brown, and comrade Miss Patricia Livingstone before her. Gladly, the comfort offered isn't just a simple quick fix. Rather, it is the assurance of God's mercy, forgiveness, and active presence in our darkest hours or moments. While we mourn and weep during this difficult period, tears are viewed not as a sign of hopelessness, but as a path to healing. Certainly, God acknowledges our brokenness and promises to eventually turn mourning into joy at His own time by the help of the Holy Spirit. Let us all be comforted and strong as we say farewell to comrades Miss Brown and Miss Livingstone. Rest from your labor and pains, comrades. Rest on. We also again remember Comrade Akena Wesley, whose daughter Love Carter died in a tragic vehicle accident recently, and Comrade Moses Sandy, who lost his cousin-in-law Herbert Quimolu. So, yep, condolences to all of you. And this was written by Reverend Swadede, member of the board of directors of Alja. And I think it kind of captures what the Alja family and the Liberian communities are going through.
Yeah, and I just told her to throw her picture out here,
Yep.
so that for our viewers who didn't know her, can catch a glimpse of who Euphemia was. You know, um, what a sad moment.
Yep.
Um, as it is right now, nothing is planned yet, but this would be a big occasion for us as a chapter to come together in the national. Currently, I served as vice president. The president and I have not spoken yet, National President Joey Kennedy, but we'll look forward to begin to organize and get together, you know, in a uh, soon as possible time. But again, rest on Euphemia. May your spirit, your soul be given passage through the pearly gates to be with your Lord.
Definitely. Definitely.
So as we close, Alfonso, anything uh, before we wrap up?
Definitely. I think we have a common patrimony. We have a common country, and Liberia. And I think we should do everything. We should criticize the government. Definitely, I think the government needs to do a better job in the agriculture sector. It needs to do a better job in prosecuting corruption, particularly those that are on the docket. It needs a better job. Need to do a better job at creating jobs, but also at counting jobs that are created into the country. Here, every month, the U.S. government announces job numbers, jobs that are created, jobs that are lost, what sectors the jobs are in, what parts of the country the jobs are found in. I think by doing that will help. So, for instance, if there are agricultural jobs being created in Lofa, maybe the people in agriculture will go to Lofa County and go look for jobs there. So, I think as that would be one of my proposals to the government. I think they're doing okay in terms of job creation, but they also need to document jobs is one of the areas that I've studied, and I think is really important for several reasons.
Thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. The Issues Room, Alfonso Yuna, Volcano Shelton here. Will be back on Tuesday next week. Until then, quickly, I'd just like to remind us that France is out of the World Cup. They lost to Spain 2 goals to nothing. Um, the Spanish side made France very average. I mean, all that aggression and everything they went through, sweeping through the tournament. Today's game was just completely controlled by the Spanish, and unfortunately, France lost tomorrow. In England and Argentina will be locking horns. Accordingly, they're saying that FIFA is cheating for Messi, cheating for Argentina. Man, listen, everything people have something to say. Alfonso, the people playing the football way over there. The people now they say FIFA cheating for Messi. They cheated Egypt. In fact, people are already saying that Argentina will be out tomorrow, as if to say they're going to be on the field to ref the game or to go. Man, listen, what you got to say quickly before we leave?
Uh, I did not. I haven't been following. I briefly watched the opening meetings up to the penalty that Spain won today against France, and then I left because I was traveling. So I had to leave, so I didn't watch the game. But so far, I think yes, there's been a few missteps in my view, but generally the World Cup has been great and entertaining. It's every 4 years. I hope they can FIFA. I don't think FIFA is listening to this show right now, but it would be good if they can, make the World Cup every 2 years. It would be fascinating. Bring
Then
the
how do you do the continental tournaments that prepare the team for the World Cup? then it'll be every year. Then how do you do the National League? So I guess it's set up that way because of all of the different leagues that take place prior to the World Cup.
Perhaps.
Because Liberia itself has its national league that has to go for at least annually. Then the African Cup of Nations, in terms of preparation and hosting and building stadiums, by every 2 years, and then the World Cup every 4 years. The next World Cup will be in 3 countries: it's Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. 2030.
Yep.
So
You make an important point.
yeah. So that's the reason why. So they're not changing. I know you want to enjoy, you want to be entertained, but
Entertainment.
they give you other options. And believe it, the only time I watch soccer is the World Cup. I don't watch the European League and all the other leagues. I watch sometimes the African Cup of Nations, but I'm more into basketball and boxing. So I'm into the NBA and I'm into boxing. Every Saturday.
I'm into American football.
No, I only watch the Super Bowl. Just
I
the
mean,
last game, the Super Bowl.
Did you
Nothing
say
else. Yeah.
MMA or boxing?
Boxing, real boxing. Yeah.
I'm a big MMA.
I mean MMA every now and then, but
Yeah.
I'm more into fundamental boxing. Yeah.
I'm an MMA fan where
Yeah.
you do everything. You kick, you butt, you knock people down. That's my
That one they call it fighting.
yeah.
Fighting, no rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been good. It's been entertaining. So let's see what will happen tomorrow. Especially with, I think England has a bigger team. Just from my perspective, they have strikers, a lot of strikers. But Argentina, they got fundamentals. They will play their game, and So I think Spain played her game today. She didn't buy into the aggression of France. She kept the ball, with poise and deliver when it was time. So let's see what happens tomorrow and who goes to the final with Spain. But everyone thinks now that Spain has a possible chance. But let's see. Argentina, if she went to the finals and wins it, she would be the second team in the history of the World Cup with Brazil that became back-to-back champions. It's never happened. Only Brazil did it once. So she would be the second country to do that if she, go back to the final and wins.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the history will be.
We'll see what happens tomorrow, and then what happens in the final.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
So thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. Volcano Shelton, Alfonso just left. We'll be back here next Tuesday, but please join me on Thursday this week for the Volcano Shelton show. My topic this week will be mind-boggling. It's going to be a good one. Do we have role models in Liberia today? Do we have role models? That's what I'll be talking about. Because everything we're talking about now that is plaguing our country, our young people, who are the role models that will help shape their destiny? Like some of us were fortunate to have role models during our time. We didn't have direct contacts with them, but just the fact that those people were around and we saw how they carried themselves, we vicariously lived our lives through them, hoping to be like them. Who can our young people today want to be like in Liberia? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that this coming Thursday. So please book your ticket for Thursday 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do we really have role models in Liberia today that our young people can emulate and change their lives and plan their lives to be, leaders for tomorrow who will be the successors of those who are now pillaging our country, corrupting our country, and killing our country. Okay? Thank you. We'll have a good night, and we'll see you Thursday.